Maven Interviews are all about capturing people's diverse passions and special skill sets. Bob Garlick and Andrew McGivern chat with local and international specialists to find out what they do and why they do it.
Hey everybody, Bob again. We're on another amazing Maven show. I've got my co-host Andrew here. We've got a repeat guest. He was so awesome the first time we had him on, we had to get him back. So before we do that, just to let you know, we're not going to do a big intro for him. If you listen to the first show, we'll put a link on the show notes, and you can check out his first show, which was on Viral Videos. Amazing stuff. Andrew, tell us a little teeny tiny bit about our guest.
Well, he is half stand-up comic and half performance artist, and he can bring people to their feet in standing ovations in speaking events as early as 7 a.m.
Wow, 7 a.m. That's shocking.
Electrifying speaker. TodMaffin.com.
Hey, Todd, sounds like he's reading your website. Nice copy.
I don't know who wrote that, but I'm stealing that, man. That's awesome.
That's good stuff.
7 a.m. crowds are well caffeinated to get that. It's not purely on my own abilities.
Todd, today let's talk about reputation management. I know you've been doing some lectures on that. I think it's an incredibly important part of being social and being aware online for companies or for individuals. What is the secret to online management?
It is so important, I mean, I would say at least half of the work that my company does, EngageQ Digital, is in reputation management. It's in proactively trying to make sure people don't get attacked, but you are going to get attacked if you have. And by attacked, I don't mean that they're going to throw Molotov cocktails at your work, but people have negative comments, and sometimes they don't even mean to be negative. Years ago, I don't know if we got time to tell this story. I was attacked really harshly by the internet.
Were you in an alley? I was minding my business in an alley. I got attacked by this guy called Internet. No.
Worse, I was in a podcast.
Uh-oh.
I used to have many years ago. In fact, just at the beginning of the podcast world, I had one of the first podcasts in the world. In fact, I think it was the 11th podcast in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, it was me, Adam Curry, John, and Drew, a couple of folks in Ottawa. It was great fun. And my podcast was called the How to Do Stuff podcast. And basically what I would interview people with interesting hobbies or interesting jobs. My friend Laura is an esthetician, so she waxed, I'm going to say leg, because this is a family podcast. So I'm doing air quotes when I say the word leg. I interviewed someone on how to take a perfect bath. I interviewed a pilot once on how to start a jet engine. By the way, you know how you start one of those things?
Isn't it like a red button you press?
It's a button. I'm like, there's no key here. It is a button that says start. Like, you've got to be kidding me. But anyway, so I've had this podcast going, and it was reasonably popular. And I did a podcast episode once called "How to Get Upgraded on Your Airline Without a Certificate."
Oh.
Now, we're in Canada. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. So I was flying with Air Canada, and they used to issue these certificates for frequent flyers. So if you flew a lot, like I did, you would get these little certificates, and you could hand them in at the gate, and they would upgrade you to business class. I had discovered a loophole in their system. And I'm going to tell you how this loophole works, because it doesn't work anymore. And you're going to think I'm horribly unethical. But in short, it only worked on flights that were really full. And you would call them ahead of time, and you would say, "Hi, I've got an economy seat, and I have an upgrade certificate, and I would like to move to business class." So they would say, "You have a certificate?" Now, you didn't, so you had to lie. This is lie number 1 of 2. And you said, yeah. So here's what they would do. Is in their computer, they would take you out of your economy seat, and they would put you in a business class seat. This frees up your economy seat. So, guys, what do they do with the economy seat?
Fill it up.
They sold it. Exactly. So now, remember, this only worked for full flights. So now you get to the airport, and they're saying, and now Star Alliance Gold and Elite, Super Elite, or whatever, you can go. And even though you got a business class seat, you stay in your seat. You stay there. And they say, "Now we're boarding for the back of the airplane." You stay there. And now, last call, and you stay there. And even when they page your name, Mr. Maffin, Tod Maffin, last call, you still don't move. The secret to this working was you had to be the last one on the plane. Only when they were walking toward that door to the gangway, or whatever it's called, and because when they shut it, that's it. It's shut. You're not getting on. So just as they head toward the door, that's when you run up and you go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was late." And you give them your boarding pass, and they scan it in their computer, and the computer goes, because it wants your certificate. So it says, "Oh, do you have your upgrade certificate? Now here's line number 2." You start patting your pockets down. You're like, "Oh, shoot. Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do with it?" And you pull open your bag and you start pulling things out of your bag, and obviously you don't have it. So now they're faced with a choice, right? It's a full flight. They've sold your economy seat. There is one seat left on that plane. It's in business class. What are they going to do? Deny you boarding? No. They just want you to get your ass on the plane and stop messing around. So they give it. So all that to say, I did a podcast episode about that. And for the first couple of weeks, no big deal. People loved it. I had my friends laugh, and they commented. A couple people tried it. It worked. It didn't work. Whatever. And then, about 3 weeks in, I started getting attacked. On the podcast episode page, within a couple of hours, I was getting dozens and dozens of these really angry comments from people saying, "How dare you? I can't believe you're doing this, scamming people." Now, at the time, I was working for CBC. I still do as a technology columnist, but I was doing a lot more with them at the time. And so people were saying, "I can't believe the CBC is teaching us how to lie and steal." That was a direct quote from one of them, by the way.
Nice.
So there's my reputation management issue in a nutshell. That was the first one. And how I responded to it eventually formed this swarm methodology, which I'll walk you through as well. And it was essentially sort of a 5-step process. I'm sort of flailing around here because I'm trying to find the actual letter I wrote. I can't find it. But anyway, it ends up being sort of a 5-step process. It can be as easy as five sentences. I'll just blast through them really quick, and then if you want, like we did with the viral one the other day, we can just go through them point by point. Does that work?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So you think of it like a swarm of angry bees. Swarm, SWARM. And if you want to read this whole thing, by the way, I've got it on our company site, engageq.com/swarm. You can read it, the whole thing. So S is speak like a human. The W stands for win-win. The A stands for avoid a public fight, self-explanatory. R is right the wrongs. And M is make friends. Where do you want to start?
Let's start on number 1.
All right. So number 1, the S in swarm is speak like a human. Organizations, brands have got a really bad habit of speaking like organizations. They speak in these grand tones, we and us, and we're sorry if you, and remember, it's a social network, right? The internet these days, it's a social network. It's not a business network. So you have to speak like a human. So, the first things you should say if someone has a complaint about your organization or they said something that needs an apology is say, "Thank you so much for letting us know about this. I'm so sorry to hear about these problems you're having." And then speak like a human from then on. Use I statements. There's a lot of, let's say that a friend of yours, you're telling someone you work, let's say that someone says something and they're complaining about you. You wouldn't say something like this: "Gee, David, this sounds like something which is very unfortunate. I trust that the matter will be resolved in an expeditious manner. Thank you for telling me the details of this experience you had." You would never say that to a friend, would you?
Well, unless you were Spock.
Unless you're Spock or Data, yes. So what would we say? You would say, "Oh my God, that's terrible. I'm really sorry. How can I fix that?" That's what humans say. So the first step is to speak like a human.
Even if it's a corporation, people or consumers want to feel like an individual person has taken them on and is addressing their problem. They don't want the organization to do it. They want someone at the company to look after them.
Yeah, they want one-on-one. For sure.
Yeah, we at my company we respond we on behalf of respond on behalf of a lot of brands. We run their Facebook pages, so often it's me or a member of my team member. We always sign our first name to it, always, because it's a human being. Some companies do an even better job on Twitter. Fido, which is a cellular provider in Canada. They have individual Twitter accounts with the first names of the people. So instead of just getting a response back from Fido Mobile, which is their corporate account, if you complain, like I did the other day, for their extraordinarily high roaming charges, I got a tweet back from an account called Fido Eric, FIDO-ERIC, and there's Fido James and Fido Sue, and so you right away, and the avatar is the guy's face, Not even there's no corporate logo in sight.
Nice.
So it's really important to be human, speak like a human. That in itself, not speaking like a big company, that will diffuse half of it.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we had one where somebody gave us a hard time about my nasal voice, and he basically trashed me down. He said, love the show, except Bob sucks. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
I have a whiny, nasally voice myself.
It's a great Canadian pastime.
It is. Some of the best radio people have bizarre voices. Sarah Vowell is a perfect example of this if they're public radio listeners.
So how did you swarm that one, Bob?
Well, basically, it's exactly what Todd said. Hey, thank you for letting us know that I've got a nasally voice, and it's people like you that make our show better. And then he came back and said, "Oh, that's nice." And back and forth. I invited him on the show. Why don't you come on the show? That'd be great.
You put up on the website.
Oh yeah, and then on the website for fun, I did a request for $12,000 so I could get a nasal operation done. So I followed through with a little bit of a viral weirdness.
If we raise it a little bit of money, Bob will get nasal surgery.
Yeah, we didn't raise very much money on that, unfortunately, so I still have my nasal voice. Todd, what's number 2?
It is win-win. So this is people want a win of some kind. They want some sort of they want something to happen. Essentially, they don't want to just have. They just don't want to complain for the sake of complaining. So give them something. In the case of this podcast episode, I took the podcast episode down. I said, "You're right. I should have thought about it more clearly. I've removed it from my site." I don't care. It's just a podcast. Who cares? But they want to feel like instead of just "Thank you for your concerns," I'll make sure this gets to management's site. No, are you kidding me? No. Even if you're just going to put it in front of management, say specifically what you're doing. Give them a win. Thank you for your comments. I'm really sorry to hear about this. Tomorrow morning is our managers meeting. I've added this to our agenda, and I'm going to follow up with you and tell you what happened during our meeting when we talked about this issue you had. They want a win of some kind. Number 3 is avoid a public fight. This one's very obvious. Don't have this battle out in front of people. Don't get into a tit for tat. The best thing you can do is to say, I'm really sorry to hear about this. This isn't the way our company usually is, or whatever you have to say. Would you please, if you're on Twitter, would you please DM me the details? That means send me a direct message. Or if you're on Facebook, please click the message button on our Facebook page and tell me more. Or here's my email address. Please give me the details so I can follow up directly with you. This takes it out of the public channel. You don't want to get into a tit for tat with people in the public channel because it's just like it's a swarm, right? Bees will smell that fear and they will pile onto it as well. So as soon as is possible, ideally within your first contact or your second contact, say, listen, I'm taking this seriously. I want to get more details on this so I can follow up. Can you please email me or even call me and let me know? But whatever you do, take it out of the public channel.
And also reward somebody, like give something away publicly. You take that off as well, so they don't encourage other people to make fake complaints in order to get something. Is that something that happens?
Rarely, and that's another reason to take it offline. It rarely happens. You sometimes get this with contest enterers, professional contest enterers, where they'll click like, they'll enter the contest, and they'll click unlike, and they'll click like again to enter it again, and things like that. But no, for the most part, people aren't, and you're going to be able to tell which people are doing that. And, maybe create a little frequent flyers list of your own of people who chronically take advantage of that.
A lot of these are common sense things, but in the heat of battle, when you get a bad comment, it touches you emotionally. Even if you're working for a company, somebody badmouths the company you work for, you have an emotional knee-jerk reaction. Is it advisable to, instead of answering right away, to step back, go have a coffee, breathe and think about it for a couple of minutes before responding, or even longer?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The average, there's a number of studies of how frequent or how quickly people want to hear back from a company, and you hear everything from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. listen, ignore those. It's okay to wait 3 or 4 hours. Not if it's, not if it's, hey, I'm in your mall, it's on fire. There's some things that make more sense. But no, really, I mean, you can, if it takes more time, if it's going to take more time than a couple of hours, I would say I would go in and tell them it's going to take more time. Just, thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know we're on this. I'm looking into it right now. I will get back to you as soon as I have more information. So respond quickly. You don't have to respond immediately, but don't sort of respond hastily with an incomplete answer. If you don't have the answer and you won't have it for a few hours or a day or two, just go in and tell them, this is going to take a day for me to look into this. I will get back to you.
What's number 3, number 4? Is that now we're doing now?
Number 4.
Aye. So
we are in the R of swarm, and that is right the wrongs. Sometimes people will get something wrong. Here a good example of this. Let's say someone comes. Let's say you own a restaurant. Someone comes to your restaurant and says, "I use a wheelchair, and I tried getting into your restaurant on Friday. Your elevator was packed with people who are perfectly capable of taking the stairs. Plus, it's out of order half of the time." So that may all be true to some extent. They may in fact really have problems getting into the restaurant. But if your elevator's not out of order half the time, it's okay to correct that, because if you don't, that's going to stay on the record, right? It's going to stay on the Facebook page or in the blog post or on the Twitter feeds or whatever, and people will assume that if you haven't corrected it, that it is accurate. So it's okay for you to say, listen, thanks for letting me know. I'm sorry that happened to you on Friday. I've instructed our team. So let's go through the SWARM right here. So S, the response for Speak Like a Human would be, thank you for letting me know about this. I'm so sorry that happened to you Friday. I always tell our clients at EngageQ to say, I'm so sorry, instead of just we're sorry or I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm so sorry just feels more genuine. I don't know why. The W for win-win, here's the win you give her. I've instructed our team to put a sign in the elevators telling people to use the stairs if they don't have mobility issues. So she's got a win. God, she wrote in, and now there's going to be a sign. That's a win. A, for the avoided public battle, the next sentence should be, please let me know directly at whatever your email address is if it's not. Now, here's how you right the wrong. When she said the elevator's out of order half the time, it's okay for you to say, the elevator is almost always working, though. It shouldn't be broken half the time. It's not only is it okay for you to correct the record, it's important for you to correct the record, because that stuff lives in Google's caches forever. And then the final sentence, the final step, is make friends. And I would tack on something like, could I pick your brains in the future about ways we can make our restaurant easier to get into? And make friends is really easily. It's just, following up afterwards. In the case of a restaurant, I mean, you might have different folders in your email. It could be as simple as this for the different issues. So better access for wheelchairs, you might have a folder called accessibility. Whenever someone emails you about that, respond to them, put that email in that folder, or apply that label or whatever, and then a year later go back to people in that folder and say, hey, listen, it's been a year since you emailed. Have you been back to the restaurant? How's accessibility? You get a question, when are we getting gluten-free bread? Put that in a folder called gluten-free. Your patio is too noisy. Put it in a folder called outdoor. Your website is too hard to order from. Put it in a folder called website. And once a year, get back to these people and say, hey, have you been back to the patio? Is it any better? Or, hey, we just added some gluten-free stuff. Have you come in and try it? Why don't you come in and use my name and we'll give you a sampler for free. Make friends is really important. It's the last stage of the swarm methodology.
And I think when you do stuff like that, you have a very high chance of your kind-heartedness going viral and people saying, hey, this guy's awesome, you should go check it out, or this restaurant's great, it got back to me, it was been 6 months and now they're doing gluten-free. That's amazing. Let's go have some gluten-free bread. Yeah. I think you get amazing ROI from doing something like that. So it's basically taking something that could be a horrendously tragic social media experience for your company's brand and turning it around and actually making it a positive experience for somebody. That is huge. Yeah. And so many companies don't get that. How can you educate, how as an employee of a company that's conscious of social media and realizes that the company is really getting their brand trashed, how do you approach management? What's a good pitch?
Oh, gosh, management responds best to horror stories. So go to Google and type in case study reputation management and the name of your sector, restaurants or, marketing or airlines or whatever. Find a couple of those and just say, hey, listen, this happened to these people. we're not set up. We don't have anything in place to respond. We need it's like a disaster plan, essentially, right? It's a reputation disaster plan. Management management will respond when you put it in their face just what can happen.
Yeah, and there's been some spectacular ones.
There have been. My website, casestudiesonline.com, is a good resource for that. It's completely free. There's not even any ads on it. It costs me money to run. But it's just, if you go there and click under industry and look for your industry at casestudiesonline.com, you'll find all sorts of case studies in there. And I'm sure you'll find some where something negative's happened.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Andrew, do you have any interesting questions for Tod?
No, this is actually really interesting, because there's nothing worse than going to a Facebook page or a Twitter account and you have something to say, or you're ticked off at a brand and it's a ghost town. And you say something and you get no response. And everything that Tod's saying is not only responding to people and making that individual feel better, but when you go to the site, that you see that there's engagement, you see there's activity. If it's a restaurant and it's a ghost town there, you wonder, does it have any atmosphere? It's just a bad, it would almost be better not to be on Facebook at all if you're not going to actually be on Facebook and be interacting with your clients.
Yeah, exactly. If you're doing social media just for the sense of saying, oh, we have a Facebook account, and you're not actually using it as a tool, what do you got it up there for?
Yeah, just because everybody else has one, we better be on there because there's a billion people on there. We better be on there. It's kind of a silly argument, unless you're really going to be on there and you've got a strategy behind it.
Yeah, and a budget behind it too. Tod, this goes way beyond social, though. Like, I've had a couple of run-ins with some organizations and have phoned head office and complained, and oh yeah, we'll get back to you, and they never get back to you. So if head office can't even respond to an email, what's the chances of head offices using social media properly? Is it a thing that is they're being blindsided by and they still don't get it, or are they understaffed, or is that the concept of reputation management so alien to them or so new that they haven't budgeted for that?
It really all comes down to common sense and good hiring practices. You have people on board who have good common sense. You cannot train for everything. We teach the SFORM methodology in our own team training that we do in-house. But it's not cheap, I'll be honest. We don't do it for $100. So it's a worthwhile investment. But if you don't have the budget to afford an intensive training, then just basic common sense works really well. But people will, even if you can't answer your phone, it's funny you should use that example. Just today, I was trying to get a plumber in here because I have a garburator and I'm sometimes a little over enthusiastic as to what I can grind. And so at least
will it
once
blend?
a year,
Yeah.
I plug it out. Yeah, will it blend? Exactly. So last year when this happened, as it is an annual occurrence, I phoned some company that had got great reviews on Yelp and left a message. They never called back. So I went on Yelp and I posted, and I gave them a 2-star review, and I said, I don't know, maybe these guys are great, but I called and left 2 messages, and I waited for a day and a half, and they never called me back, so meh. And to their credit, this guy responded and said, I'm really sorry, I take responsibility for that, we were having problems with our voicemail. And so I went and I adjusted my rating because that guy did a good job in responding. Now, fast forward to today, I emailed the guy to decide, okay, well, I plugged my thing up again. I call him or I email him and talk to him, and he's going to come over earlier this afternoon, and he doesn't show up. And 4 o'clock comes, 5 o'clock comes, he doesn't show up. And I get just now, while we've been on the podcast, an email from him. This has just happened while we've been talking. An email from him. In fact, let me just read it really quickly. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but it's basically, why weren't you there? I was on time for our appointment this afternoon. I tried buzzing. I'm sorry you didn't. This is the plumber, right? I'm sorry you didn't feel our time was important enough to call or email us of your schedule change. It would have been a nice gesture. Well, look, dude, I don't know what happened. I was here. Sometimes the buzzer doesn't work, but his common sense filter is not working right? I mean, the proper response to that is like, hey, what happened? I was here. Maybe you got something fixed. Not to kind of lash out and blame someone. So there's some people who just naturally get it, and some people who need some help. For those people, I recommend the training. For people who naturally get it, hire people like those.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything. When you're hiring, you hire for attitude, energy, and then the training, you can teach them that the actual stuff that they need to know about the company. So if they got the right attitude, they got lots of energy, they're going to be awesome to deal with for sure.
Yeah, they can learn how to do the job, but they can't learn how to be a nice person.
Yeah, exactly. Tod, for people that are interested in improving their customer service or their reputation management, is it something that you give to a junior in the company, or is it like a middle management, or if it's a small company, should the owner be handling it?
It should be anyone who has direct frontline contact with the public.
So the sales department then?
Everybody. If your CEO goes out on financial roadshow tours, like often they do for public companies, and he's in touch with the public, he needs to be in there, or she. If it's sales team, absolutely. The receptionist needs to be there. Your marketing, any single person who is going to touch in some way, come in contact with stakeholders that are important to you, whether they are shareholders, whether they are customers, whether they're leads, anyone who has the potential to communicate on behalf of your company needs this kind of common sense or training if they lack the common sense. So
that's a lot of people. I mean, it's not like, I have company X, my receptionist, you're going to be now handling our reputation management. You're going to take you on a course and that's it. And then everybody else go back to work. It should be something that many people are aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the places where there's some interesting reputation management people that get it and don't get it are in some of those big box hardware stores. And you go in there and there's people that don't know where anything is. They're clued out, they're frustrated, and they're just not nice people to chat with. Then there's other people that are so happy to be there. They're in their environment. They love working with tools. They're probably a handyman person, and they're all about, it's like, oh, you actually... I know what you want to do, but you don't want this product. You want this product because I was using it the other day and it works so much better. I mean, that is awesome customer service, but that's also reputation management at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, we're coming to the end of the show. Andrew, do you have one last question for Tod?
No, I think it comes back to what you're saying and what Tod said in terms of it comes right down to the hiring process, because sometimes people just might be not in the right fit for the role that they're in. And, I see it all the time in when I was in the telecom business in retail for years. Some people just aren't people that should be on the front line. They could be in the back doing administration work and be happier back there without having to be dealing with clients. And other people are the opposite. They're just better suited to be helping clients. So I think that's something to take a look at, and in terms of training people to handle social media better, I think I totally agree. Everybody should be involved.
Tod, thank you very much for coming on the show again. It was awesome as usual. Just a wealth of knowledge, and so easy to interview. Just ask you a question, boom, you're gone. It's a pleasure. We'll have to try and get you on again now. Is there anything you got planned? I know you've got a book that you're working on. Are you going to give us a sneak peek of the title?
I can't. I wish I could. I will say this, that it is related to what we've been talking about, but sort of a broader topic. But as you know yourself, Bob, the book market is highly competitive, especially in this space. So I got to keep it under wraps until we come out with it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Any chance of when it's going to be coming out? Later this year?
Yeah, we're speaking right now, it's July in 2013, where my co-author and I are meeting in a month in Winnipeg randomly because he's in Ottawa, I'm in Vancouver, so we're going to meet dead center and do a week of writing there. And we're aiming for a draft to our publisher mid-September. I have no idea how publishers, with this kind of topic, it's going to be a fairly meaty book, so I don't know what their schedule is going to be like. There will be Kindle editions and things like that, but I think they would come out at about the same time. So I'm hopeful for the new year of 2014.
But you never know.
I really don't know how that business works. I just write the stuff, they push it.
Exactly. Hey, so everybody out there in Mavenland, thank you for joining in on the show. Love to have your comments. Thanks again, and stay tuned next week. Well, actually, this is coming out every 2 weeks because we've got the Bunker Show, and then we'll do the Bunker Show 1 week, and then we're going to have the Maven Interviews as coming out on a Wednesday to replace one of the Bunker Shows, and then back to Bunker Show. So every 2 weeks we'll be coming out with a new show. So stay tuned, and look forward to your comments.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and I'm sure you will love our next guest. But until then, visit the website at maveninterviews.com for more information and links to iTunes, Twitter, and other social media platforms. If you would like to leave a message, please call 1-877-636-1474. You never know, it might be you featured on the show.